I will just reiterate what I've said last time in a less angry way because a few days back I was really angry for quite on news, to be honest. Um, Rick said those stuff like 6 or 7 months ago in July, and that coincided with similar concern by um, activists in general that wanted to capture, because this is it, it's a capture on ship Hladimir in the Hemahe sanctuary. I'll go over that, and so probably I should um, explain to you who Hladimir is. So Hladimir is a lone beluga that was found, I believe, 2 years ago in a town in northern Norway called Hammerfest, which has nothing to do with the festival. So, um, so this is Hladimir, and as you can see, he was found first. He was begging for food, which is unusual for this is normally something that ex-captives do in general, and solitaries don't do that as a rule. And he was found with that harness, with that sort of harness. At first, he was believed to come from a sort of swim with facilities with belugas, captive belugas from the White Sea called the Arctic Circle. But the Arctic Circle denied, and now we believe he has some kind of military background, that he was used by the Russian government for some kind of operation or experiment or whatever, and then he escaped. And since then, he travels westward, I believe, um, bordering the Norwegian coast. And whatever, I mean, where to start? So, Obari, which I told before in another stream, he made that story, that widget thingy that you have on Facebook, and he says, um, and I got angry legitimately. He says, he's a refugee. I'm hoping that Norway will accept him, make him a citizen, create a sanctuary for him. So, first thing first, for any NPC out there which will like say, but Julian, by sanctuary he meant something. No, 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 no. He means a captive sanctuary. This is obvious from the context. I mean, what do you think they will like capture him and put him in some like protected marine area in some other, like, come on, no, it's obvious that they meant like captive sanctuary. The whole underlying logic behind people that wanted the sanctuarization, I mean, the captivity of Vladimir was sanctuarization in its captive form. That's why there are people that advocated to. I mean, it's so true that, let me show you that. This is so true that the people from Heimahe made a public statement claiming exactly that. Hey, we are ready. Basically, we can't house Vladimir because the World Sanctuary was geared toward the housing of those two belugas we already have. We can just shove a third one, blah blah. It will mean a lot of technical difficulties, logistical, financial, blah blah. So the point being that this is something that was brought up. Rick is only like riding the train, And is it? And I mean, where to fucking start? So first thing first, I think it's extremely funny that Rick talks about him as a refugee like when we talk about human refugees, with everything that implies ethically on such, on a citizen, implying that he has some kind of recognition of cetaceans as, people, sapient beings and whatnot, which should be understood under law, under some kind of personhood status, meaning that we should understand them as real social agents, not just animal or ownership in that abstract sense, but like social agents we can interact with, give rights, etc. Like, and then his solution, his ready-made NPC solution, is sticking them in a glorified cage. Do you realize how dumb this is? Like, genuinely. I mean, again, I had a lot of admiration for Rick, and I continue to believe that he's far more of a progressivist, than most of his peers, especially people like Marino or Visser, which are downright regressive on some points. But, like, come on. And like, here's the thing, if you imply that they're, they have to be equated toward something similar to a citizen status, don't you think that the first thing that should be like brought up on the table is the reality of autodetermination, bodily autonomy, the possibility for them to speak for themselves, to make their own decisions in their lives? It seems so intuitive to me, and it's so funny. Like refugee, given the situation of refugees in France and the United States, where they're literally stuck in cages, put into institutional like facility with everything it means in terms of control, deprivation of freedom, blah blah, of fundamental human rights. I mean, I'm sorry, the parallelism is so funny. It's like, and then so here's the thing. Rick talked about this. Is it recording? Yes, a few months back, and I mean, let me show you that part. I'm not going to review the whole thingy. I mean, I laugh now because it seems so absurd to me, and I don't know how to imitate him. So he says, the solution is simple. Establish a large protected sanctuary for Hladimir in one of Norway fjords. The sanctuary will conceive as spacious. First, knowing what spacious means, a richer very vocable, knowing his past project in Ancona and the current one in Karimun Jawan, Bali, I won't trust him when he says spacious. But fenced off fjords, so yeah, captivity. Like, come on, people. If any of you starts to like deliberately lie and claim it's not what he meant, this is what he means. Giving Hladimir space to roam, which will be far less than today. Like, this is the fucked part. I mean, the whole thing is fucked, but this is the fucked part, right? He says Hladimir will be safe from fishing nets, fish bars, and boat propellers. So here's the thing, Rick. First, no cetacean today is safe from fishing nets, fish farms, and boat propellers. If this is your argument to put him in captivity, I mean, I'm sorry, man. Like, what? You will stuck like every cetacean today in captivity because of this? Like, I'm sorry, but do you realize how dumb this is? What about solitary cetaceans? Solitary or so-called ambassador cetaceans today are very well exposed to those risks. In fact, last year in 2020, at least two of them, Danny and Zafar, died because of boat collision. So what? Do you advocate to capture solitary cetaceans, stock them in so-called sanctuaries? Like, I'm sorry, but if we had to like use statistics and such, do you understand how this is like? Do you understand the flow in reasoning Greek? Like, on know as well that the idea of capturing solitary cetaceans, sticking them in dolphinariums, was very much so advocated by some pundits from the dolphinarium industry. Uh, uh, a few decades back, they wanted to capture Randy and stick him in the Boudewijn Sea Park in Belgium. Um, so Hladimir has to be moved out of harm's way. Like, why? Why? So no respect for his bodily autonomy, no respect for his consent. Like, one thing that seems dumb said like this, but do you realize that Vladimir escaped his net, right? Like, he basically escaped captivity. He didn't escape captivity so he could like find another better, safer form of captivity. Do you realize that, Rick? Like, what do you think? Like, he thought, like, oh yes, I'm going to leave that dolphinarium to go to another glorified one. I'm sorry, but he escaped because he didn't want to live there, knowing that one of the arguments used by the pro-caps and sometimes pro-sanctuaries to dismiss liberation politics is stressing out how cetaceans tend not to leave the place when you cut the nets or whatnot. Like, he wants to be free. I'm sorry. If you do that, it is against his uh, 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 what he wants and what he decides to do. And and Norway with its stunning fjord. So if you saw my previous streams, you know that Rick and also Marino does the same thing. They don't hesitate to use loaded abstract terms like generally an appeal of toward beauty to legitimate sanctuarization. This is stupid. I have no other words. Um, the arguments we have to use to legitimate this kind of politics should be based on logistics, ethics, and pragmatics, not on beauty. I don't care if the fjord looks like beautiful, blah blah. This is obviously a human and cultural bias. I don't care if this fjord is tuning or if it looks like crap or whatever. Do you understand that generally? I mean, it reminds me of Trump, right? The beautiful, we're going to make that beautiful wall. Like, come on, man. Uh, Also, who is going to own that? Rick, the WDC, who? Whom? The Norway government? Who is going to pay for it? Who is going to legally own them? Because that's the other thing, right? They never talks about the legal aspect of it. They never stress out the fact that someone is going to own them. Okay, Rick or the Dolphin Project, I don't know whom, legally owns the three cetaceans in Bali and Karimunjawa, okay? They're owned. Like, this is so funny from someone that kept doing the parallelism between cetacean exploitation and um, slavery in the United States. Like, he went as far as to name his own son Lincoln because of this, but then he doesn't realize that he legally owns dolphins. Okay, like sanctuaries, like dolphinariums, are based on a logic of ownership and property. You cannot escape this shit. So Vladimir is a defector who needs asylum. So asylum is basically sticking him in captivity. Do you realize how dumb this is? So do you? I mean, it's what is happening today in France. So, but do you believe that it is the ethical goal of all of this when we talk about asylum seekers and such? When like people that flee, I don't know, Sudan or Afghanistan or whatever, when they come to Europe or the United States, is to stick them in an institution where they will remain until the end of their lives because of the traumatism they could have like lived as refugees and whatever. Do you realize how dumb this is? Especially when you stress out the idea of cetacean sapiency on personhood. It will be devastating if, after all of he has endured, he lost his life as a preventable accident. You know that captivity, even less, more tolerable, I mean, more tolerable form of captivity, like also increased the rate of certain risks, right? Like the depression lived by captive cetaceans is very real. It increases the immunodepression. That's why, for instance, dolphinarians have to drug them with immunodepressant and antidepressants. Sorry, antidepressants and stuff that reinforce their uh, immune system, so they don't just die. Do you realize that? Do you realize that captivity is also like hidden risk regarding certain pathogens and whatnot? Like this is a dumb argument. Again, you want to change, you want to prevent those accidents. Why not trying to advocate for changes in uh, um, naval traffic in Norway, right? Like trying to regulate how boats um, how boats moves in those localities, at what schedule, uh, um, maybe outlawing some specific boats, some practices and whatnot. Like for instance, when the some countries outlaw jet skis because of that. Do you like this kind of stuff was like organized in Dingle when they had like fungi when he was still there? Like, I'm sorry, this is doable. I mean, obviously not like that. You need to advocate for it. But so the necessary, so he trusts people, but we can't trust him to like. He trusts people, and we're going to break his trust by capturing him, which means a world traumatic event because captures are never gentle. They're always traumatic events. On sometimes they die because of this, out of stress and whatnot. We're going to break his trust in us to stick him in the sanctuary until the end of his life. That's the idea, Rick. To protect him, like to realize how fucked this is. This is fucked. There's no other word. And also, the I'm sorry, but uh, um the other thing about this, no, I think I've said what I had to say. This is dumb. I mean, if you want to challenge me on that, if you have some new arguments, go on stream on try to debate me. Okay, go on stream. Okay, I'll take 5 hours to listen to our arguments, to go over them in good faith. But like this for me cannot be defended. This for me it just cannot be defended. Hladimir is a person. He needs to be taught to not stuck in a sanctuary. If I succeed from what I'm trying to do with Randy, I genuinely hope I can try to replicate with other people and whatnot the same experiment with him. Because I think he has a lot of things to say about his past, his experience. He could make claims, and he probably has a lot. Sorry, has a lot of things to say about human stupidity and greed.